Hello, welcome to Waiting for Game, a podcast presented by Melee Stats. I am your host, Gimme That Wheat. I am a tournament seeder, top 100, whatever I do for top 100. And a top 8 commentator? No, that can't be true. Well, if you've been watching Panda Cup and the goings-ons of such, you'll learn that is true. And to commemorate such a very special occasion, we have a very special episode. This is our 50th episode. Which, if you have been around for Melee Stats, you know that we've had Melee Stats podcast with Save Us in Title. We've had Melee Stats deep dives. We've had this, and we are coming on what I believe is looking to be the longest running iteration of any podcast we have. So 50 is definitely a big number, a number that, hey, we might not have made it to if it weren't for the grit and grind of our team right here, a team that includes Edwin Budding. Edwin, I'd love to hear from you, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to talk about our guest first because I think this is the most pressing matter. When you get to 50 episodes, it is a success, and with every success does come as hardships. We love to talk about the people we have on this show. In fact, if you're on our show, we call you a friend of the show. That's how much we love them. But today we don't have a friend of the show. We have something very, very different. We have probably our greatest enemy yet. We have a man who is so willing to see Melee Stats burn to the ground, so willing to see everything we've worked for crumble. A man who the very idea of crime and chaos is funny to him. We have the enemy of the show, Jackzilla.
So is this not the same show that I was on before, that I was the enemy of the show of? This is a different show?
Yeah, you killed that one.
And you've done 50 shows, and you were thinking, I'm strong enough now. You killed the other show.
I've leveled up.
But we've learned. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, this is the really, we just thought heading into our 50th episode that we'd bring on the final boss of sorts, right? So we're going to see if we're going to be able to sit next to the next 90 minutes, 2 hours with Jack or not. And if we're able to withstand it, maybe we have another 50 in us. And if we're not, then, we'll have fallen to our ultimate enemy. So naturally, we thought it'd be fitting for this week.
That's epic stakes. I love that for you.
It is. I've been watching RRR, a lot of long movies, a lot of epics, fantasy dramas. So I think it really sets the tone for the kind of episode that we're going to have.
I believe we are definitely going to have an epic episode in front of us.
Now, some might say the Ben-Hur of Waiting for Game episodes.
Edwin, what's a regression? Can you explain to me a regression analysis?
All right. Well, thanks for joining us in the last 50 episodes of Waiting for Game.
Made a good run.
Been a good run.
He's fucking.
Is that your curse synth? Every time you curse, you hit that little synth note.
What are you talking about?
Okay. We have, hey, speaking of cursing, something that we did not get to do at CEO 2022. Jack, you and I, it is we are no strangers anymore. CEO 2022, we had a lot of fun in Daytona Beach. How's your experience?
In Daytona Beach?
How was your Daytona Beach experience?
I just watched the pilot of Severance, which is a show about you kind of bifurcate your mind between work and not work, and you can't remember either of the outside world. Like your mind gets wiped of the other world when you go to work. And a lot of times for me, Melee tournaments are kind of like that. So when I was in Daytona, it was very ethereal. It was just kind of this portal between the hotel and the venue, and the rest of it was sort of window dressing. Yeah, fuel. There were T-shirts for sale in the stores that had vile things on them, as well as various slogans for political entities that I despise. Occasionally, some really affordable and cool kind of floral shirts. So that's a plus. It was ungodly hot. And I give a lot of credit to the people of CEO for putting the tournament there and making it happen. That's a lot of my experience. How about you?
It was quite the experience. I mean, we talked about this. We are probably two of the very rare ones who got yelled at from cars, but neither comment.
It wasn't that rare. I would say that most people got yelled at in cars at some point.
No. Let me finish. We got yelled at from cars twice, and neither of them were like disparaging comments.
Oh, yes.
Both of them were neutral. Which that is the rare part.
Yeah.
You're right. A lot of people in Daytona got yelled at, and a lot of people would not come away saying it was a neutral experience. No,
I will say there was a positive story I could tell, which was me and Chroma were lost. We went to the wrong venue place. We didn't know where the venue was. We went to the hotel that was across the street from the venue instead of the venue, and we were looking real lost, and just some stranger gave us the directions, very friendly like. You know what I'm saying? Friendly like. And I really appreciate the kindness of strangers. I've always relied on the kindness of strangers, truth be told.
Edwin, what's that from?
I don't know.
This guy hates LinkedIn and doesn't know the greats. So sad.
Well, this is the last episode, isn't it? We're not ready. Okay, never mind. We got to have another 50 episodes of a different podcast. Edwin, what's the next name?
We're going to be calling it Waiting for Blame.
Oh boy. Okay, so
how about a streetcar named Melee?
Why is this guy grilling us? We should be grilling him. He's the guest on our show. Jack,
you can try. Why did you make this show? Seriously, 50 episodes in, looking back, what are you feeling? Do you feel like it's been worth 50 episodes of your time?
I do, because there's so much to talk about in Melee. There's so much.
You don't feel like you could do it like half as often and get 25?
No, I think every week. I think every week or every other week is a good amount of shows. You know, we've gone from being the best weekly podcast that's been around to the best bi-weekly podcast that's been around to the best weekly and bi-weekly podcast, you know, alternating structures of the kind of show that we have. So it really depends on, you know, what's going on in the scene and whatnot, but there's always something to talk about.
It's about to get dense. It's about to get to the point where you could justify having a weekly podcast again.
We're
and I respect that.
It's been that way for a month, so it's good that you picked up on it now. So because July and August are going to be pretty, you know, filled to the brim events.
And then you could stop.
Maybe.
Edwin, I've got a question for you. I love to talk about how dense we are, but I've got a big question. And as a viewer of CEO 2022, how is that for you? And question number 2, did you also get yelled at from cars in your neighborhood?
You know, I did not get. I don't think Boston's caught up with Daytona on that yet. But I will say,
I have been to Boston. They have their own.
We have our own.
Working on something up there.
Yeah, we have our own problems. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by the stream. It was nice seeing everything. Obviously, it was great seeing you on commentary. You're a first time ever doing commentary, just casually in a national top 8. I will say that I told Wheat this like a lot, and we were having kind of like a catch-up call about it yesterday. And I remember saying something like, yeah, dude, when the camera went to the TriCast, I was literally just looking at you the whole time. And Wheat was like, okay, like, why are you telling me that? Like, that's very nerve-wracking.
I think that's real nice.
Yeah, Wheat was like, that's very nerve-wracking. Why would you tell me that you were just looking at me the whole time? And I was like,
Wheat, do you think about the 11,000 people who were watching you?
I was literally telling him that, like,
I thought about the 2 people next to me.
It was just me, you, and the mic, baby. Those 11,000 people can't see.
I mean, Zoo was there as well. Who did a great job.
And Zoo. And
yeah, I asked
you and the mic and Zoo, but I was in between you and Zoo, so you weren't really looking at Zoo that much. You were mostly looking at me, and then I got to look at Zoo, which was fun for me.
Yeah, I know. I looked at Zoo as well. Coney was also. Coney did like the introductions. I think I would include him, and I think the players. You know. If it's not the players, are we there, right? Without the players.
I mean, I was even asking you questions like, oh, like, did you look up in chat and like the podcast server to see what everybody was saying about you? And Wheat was like, why would you ask me that? Like, of course I didn't do that. But anyways, back to what you were asking me. Back to what you were asking me. Yeah, it was really fun. I was pleasantly surprised at the production value as well. I liked having the player cards up there, the color palettes of them. I liked having all the statistics on screen in between sets. Obviously, delivering the nice little FD line and the Pleb HBox set, which we're going to get into later. I will say it was a pleasant stream experience. It was very fun watching. Throughout the weekend, obviously top 8 is what's on the top of my mind, but it was fun tuning into the stream throughout all 3 days, seeing the chat and everything. It was fun. I was pleasantly surprised. And, you know, I'm saying this as someone who is very skeptical of Panda Cup. I've made my thoughts clear on the circuit.
Kind of like climate skepticism. You just don't think it exists.
No, I don't think it ever reached to that point. But I was worried about how it would turn out. And I think if we get exciting top 8s like this, if this is the kind of production value that we can get from a stream experience, if we can get contributors in the scene flown out to events, if we can get, beyond just the 2 people on this call, if we can get Phil and Toph to more things, if we're able to compensate people behind the scenes who are able to make this kind of thing work, I will say if this is the first impression that Panda Cup is supposed to bring and this circus was supposed to bring, I gotta say it was a good one. I enjoyed watching it.
Jack, how about yourself? How are your experiences at Panda Cup? In a way that won't get you fired from any prospective future events.
Oh, okay, good catch. I thought that it's actually the first in-person like big tournament like that I've been in since COVID, and even like before COVID, I had not done that much in like the couple months before things kind of shut down. So it was kind of my first time back, and there was a huge like, holy moly, we're in a convention center, and this is what this looks like, and this is what interacting with people looks like. I thought the Panda staff were really reasonable. I liked working with them as individuals. I think most of my like neuroses were pretty inflamed, but I leave the weekend kind of having meditated on it and being like, you know what, that was pretty good. I had a good time with my friends. We watched some good Melee. I think we did a good job on the commentary, and that's really all I hope for when I go to this kind of stuff, right? Because you're kind of always focused on the event when you are flown out to do something that you're being paid for. At least for me, I never kind of am able to enjoy the event part of the event all that much, or like the scenery around. I get very kind of single track minded, and it was good. It still was worth doing. So.
Speaking of inflamed, I don't think there's a way that we can talk about this weekend without mentioning Zoo. Poor Zoo. We really broke that man.
Yeah, he day one, he was being so sweet on me. He was like, Jack, you're so smart. And I was like, no, I'm not just smart. I just talk smart. And he was like, oh, the next day, not 24 hours had passed, and he's sitting at like a table with me, Wheat, and Karomis, real tired, and saying, you guys are the biggest idiots I've ever met. You guys are making me stupider. At that moment, I knew we were gonna have some good top 8 commentary, because as long as he knows that we're stupid,
yes,
then he can navigate anything we throw at him.
A real trooper, I will say. Edwin, you've and hey, Jack at Smash Cap as well. Both of you have you understand the Wheat story. This was, when I say inflamed, I talk about how we had some pepperoni pizza, like basically right before we went to bed. Does not do a body well. That got my acid reflux going. I don't know what Zoo was hearing, but Zoo was hearing a rare form. Just like,
you want to give it a try? Give it a try on your mic.
No. He was hearing the Wheat snoring at like literally Armada levels of dominance, of pure dominance over the scene of snoring.
Yeah. Although Armada is, of course, we both agree, not the GOAT.
So as I was saying, shout out to Zoo. Yeah, no, it was a very, very fun experience. I did like to it's Jack, it's kind of thing like to branch off from what you mentioned. When you're going there, it's like a one-track mind, and then I think that like because of that experience, you have a different output on the whole thing, I guess. And yeah, I mean, I paid a lot of attention to it because I was like, oh, I have to talk about this. And I think that there is like a way of going, when you pay a lot of attention.
No, that's better. I could do that eventually, but it is better to pay attention to your experience and not be having an out-of-body experience.
Well, I mean, hey, I had an out-of-body experience when we played friendlies. I did not know which character it was, but yeah, no, it's putting all that time into like looking at everything. It definitely makes the experience a little special, because I don't think, is there anything that really makes CEO 2022 that different or unique or better than any other Melee tournament? Probably not, but I was zoned in on everything, and I'm like, this is all cool. And I think to a way there's some truth to that.
I will say, I really wish this was a huge Melee event, because back when it was like a big Melee event, as well as PM, you could get in the ring, right? And the venue for the ring is just incredible. And I don't know how this decision was made, so I don't really know the pros and cons to the point where I'd be comfortable critiquing or protecting it or defending it. But it just makes me sad that over and over, I was trying to explain to my roommates who like aren't super involved in like esports or anything. They just know it through me. Like, what is the relationship between the FGC and Smash? And it's like, well, it really comes down to we don't play their game, they don't play our game. The overlap just isn't there, and so it's always a little distant. But it comes at the cost of being a part of events that are frankly better than a lot of ours. Not to like, I'm not gonna like name names, but CEO and Combo Breaker, are incredible, and Evo speaks for itself. And I just don't know how to make Melee players show up to this stuff. It just has never, we've never seemed to be able to do it. I feel like the FGC events have like a standing invitation that's like, hey, we're great, but you've got to come to us. We're not going to beg you. And Melee players apparently just want to be begged. Give me special attention. Gimme. And it's not enough to just put in the work like year over years and get the goddamn ring,
Edwin, it's all what? It's all, everyone acts out of their own what, Edwin? I feel like you've been going off about this recently.
Out of their own self-interest.
You've been reading Adam Smith?
Yeah, sure. Let's go with Adam Smith. Yeah,
you should. It's a good read.
I think that but like, you know what, Jack? But I want to bring up something. What about the 5th place prize? What about payouts to top players?
Well, it's not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own self-interest. We address ourselves not to their humanity, but to their self-love, and never talk to them of our own necessities, but of their advantages. And from that perspective, $75 for 5th place. Listen, don't lose to KJH, I guess.
Don't lose to the 7th seed. That's the 2nd seed. By the way,
I've
told this story in private to a few people, but so it's CEO 2022, the first event in the Panda Cup, which, as we know, is the first officially licensed Nintendo Smash Brothers circuit in North America. We were sitting there, me and Jack and I, we were watching the screen from the front row. H-Buck sits down next to us and strikes up a little conversation. They show a slide. They show one of those PG stat slides from the enhanced stream. And it shows the seeding. And he goes, why's Plup 1? So I don't know if he knew that I seeded this, but he asks me, and I go, well,
he's such a doomer, man. He's such a doomer. He's like, oh, they're gonna get me into KJH, and he knew he had just lost a set to KJH last week. He knew that there was a game 5 in the second set that they played, and he's like, if this guy improves 10% while I'm streaming, he's got my ass. And he was right. I will say that, like, listen, were any of the other games at like 200 entrants that had developer support at $75? I don't know. I'd have to check. I didn't ever do like an apples to apples of his complaint. But Hungrybox has a history of complaining about the payouts at events. I legitimately think like it's not that it's an unfair critique, but it reads to me as like, oh, I've got the streaming bag. What's my incentive to come here anymore? And I just am waiting for the day when the top players start testing that, because I have a core belief that if they stop going to events and stop competing, there will be a point of diminishing returns where it'll hurt their stream for most of them.
Well, Jack, we talk about why aren't we in the fucking ring. By the way, I believe that part of it is because there are time limits for the ring, because that's where every game wants to be. So we probably would have to run best out of 3 until like. Yeah,
I think that's fine. I think the best of 3 like complaint is I get it. It comes from the players, but I would be very surprised if they were like, I want to count how many times has the person that won the first 2 out of 3 games in a set not won the whole thing. I'm sure it exists, but I would bet that in the sets up to that point, it's not that common or not that like disastrous.
I'd actually be curious to break this down.
Isn't this your job, Melee stats?
Yeah, I do kind of wonder what the difference between best of 3 and best of 5 would be in terms of set outcomes with like higher and lower seeds. Maybe I'll take a look at it sometime.
Just a good little idea.
You get a spanner in the works, which is bands is that you hit on something, and it's we kind of talk about Edwin self-interest and everything. There's like a real reason to go to things, right? And it's tweets like IBW saying that he gains nothing out of attending function, which is like, no, I think you are being myopic in this sense, right? And maybe you're a player and you say, I gain nothing from going to blank tournament. And it's probably right in that very specific sense, is that if you go to every single other tournament, you don't have anything to gain from going to the 20th tournament instead of 19.
Yeah.
But when it becomes a thing, like a rising tide lifts all ships, and our scene is better for having stuff like this. And you're right, I'm of the same opinion that as good of a stream as like the washed up retired player it could be, it's going to be nowhere near the current player. Regardless of like those numbers are not going to be variety streamer levels, but it's going to be better if you're active.
I think the other thing that happens is players, when they're on the come up, grind a lot. And if you're Hungrybox when you're number 1 in 2016 to 2018, the densest period of Melee tournaments in our history, you grind those tournaments, right? And I think the economic reality that lifestyle that you have built up as a means to get to the point you're at is not actually that profitable at the point. I think that switch up for people, like that you compete so hard that you don't actually have to compete as much to like make your living, is very weird. And I'm kind of sympathetic to the idea that they wish that they could just do the thing that they got good doing and make a bunch of money doing it, right? But what ends up happening is you scale back, you do fewer events, you probably still get ranked pretty similar, and a couple people will still grind to number 1, and then new players will come in and the cycle will begin anew. We have been talking about the streamer versus tournament attendance balance since Mango was playing All-Star at Big House 4. It has literally been there since the very beginning of Melee players streaming, and it's been okay. We are fine. So I to that extent, I would love more money in Melee, but it's like we're gonna be okay.
HBox might have made $75 from 5th place in Melee singles. I am willing to argue. I'm willing to wager a bet. Just throw out something out there. I think that he probably made more than $75 from commentating Ultimate and being involved in Panda.
Yeah, he did not make $75 that weekend.
The Plup Showdown, the Red Bull Plup Showdown. I think that probably ended up being a pretty okay weekend for him. But yeah, I mean, if you're talking in terms of just results, I think the weekend is a little bit of a disappointment. A 5th place for someone like him, who, as we know, sat next to me at Summit 13 and declared himself second best in the world. In only like a month and a half, he's at this point. Edwin, KJH, a player who we've known for very long. We've seen this online. We've seen it, this work out pretty well for him. What did you expect from him going into this event and just going into his set with HBox?
You're asking, what do I expect from KJH? Which in 2022, this is, we've seen, I'm going to put it bluntly, we've seen 2 KJHs this year, all right? We've seen KJH, the Fox player, right? This is the reliable, someone who can get into top 32 of majors and beat floaty players there, do well against midweights and whatnot. Then you got KJH, the Falco player, which we've seen, out of his 6 losses offline this year, we've seen him lose 5 of them while playing Falco, right? So going into this tournament, I thought if he gets a bracket, just frankly speaking, if he gets a bracket where he plays Fox, I think he's got a shot at top 8. But between him versus Hungrybox, this is something that we've seen them go back and forth online. We didn't quite understand how that would go on LAN, but I think most of us would have taken HBox to win that. And frankly, I'll say it. Last week when we were talking about people who could potentially beat HBox, I mentioned Plup, I mentioned Crudo. The possibility that KGH could replicate that on LAN was not even something that I seriously considered. But now that it happened, now that KGH was able to show that maybe it's not 1-to-1, but it meant something. This changes my opinion of HBox a lot, and it helps my opinion of KJH. at least as far as how his Fox performs, right? I think if you asked me, if KGH plays Fox in all his matchups, the way things are right now, I think of him as something like a top 25 player, right? I don't think that's too unreasonable. Because ever since he started playing Falco, because this is a long-term project that he's had, we've seen him kind of take results like losing early at Function 2 and then struggling to switch back to get like 33rd at that tournament. So like heading into this event, I think if you were to make like a top 50 list, KGH would, just because of by nature of experimenting and only having 2 offline events, he would have been at like, maybe the bottom half of the top 50. His results.
We should put him on the top 50 list twice. You should be able to vote for KGH Fox and KGH Falco as separate players.
Maybe
Jack, I think he only ends up there once.
maybe in Jack
problem solved.
Yeah, I'll say, Edwin, I really wish that I had talked to you about like him versus Fox as Falco, because I had the other half of the story fucking rock solid, man. I was like, KJH is gonna beat HBox. This is a very real chance, and I think that then he'll be able to take Plup. But I was totally in my head. I was like, oh, the Falco, he'll put it away when it's time to win. No, he'll lose on the Falco. He will go down.
That is what has happened this year. He has chosen to go with the Falco.
He's like H-God. He's choosing to lose. But I think like I find it kind of admirable. It's like, yeah, go play the long game. But I hope that he has in his head like a time budget. I hope it's not like I will play Falco until I start beating Fox. Rather, like I will play Falco until this checkpoint is reached, and then I'll evaluate whether or not this is the strongest thing.
I mean, look, I'm just gonna say,
it's fun. If he's just doing it for fun, I'm not.
Look, I'm just saying, there was a Panda Cup spot there was like a final spot on the line, and part of me did think, you know what, is KGH really gonna go Falco now just to like prove a point and stick with it? And I guess he did. I gotta say, like, I know KGH is improving his Falco. He's free to do whatever he wants, whatever makes him enjoy the game. But I'm just saying, with the final spot on the line, if this is the kind of KGH that we see, through the rest of the year, including high pressure stages where he's going up against a scary Fox like Chem, that is something that we, on his rank, obviously, he's free to do what he wants, but just in terms of assessing him as a player, I think he's going to be limited until we start seeing his Falco get those results.
Man,
thank you for mentioning.
Play Falco. Fuck, Panda Cup, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, thank you for mentioning 3 times that he can do what he wants in this sentence.
Look, I just don't want to come off as like he's free. Like I'm not saying he
It was the most negative commentary. We're supposed to create a positive environment for this commentary, right? And rack to do, despite being bad at Melee, because I think it's fun. It's part of the culture. It's how we talk to each other. That's not what was expected to be part of the culture Panda Cup is trying to cultivate. But I did let slip one during the set with Kemi. He was like, well, we were told that he's really trying to prepare the Falco for the Fox, but I'm not seeing it. And then both Zoo and Wheat next to me were like, oh, you can't be that openly negative and just like.
No, man. Hey, we've established this. I'm a natural born hater. I was all for it. Although I want to be clear on it. I'm going to get up here as top 8 analyst. I'm not going to get up here and be like, well, he had a better chance of winning if he was Fox.
I don't know that. Yeah.
He probably did, but I've heard he hates Fox dittos. He does not want to play them.
So woke.
And you know what? For someone like him, who took like a pretty decent break, like a year or 2 break, I'm willing to say, if this is what keeps him playing Falco versus Fox, like I think that is a net positive to his career. Because if he's like, I hate this matchup, I will not play it. I will play a matchup I like more. I think Melee is bettered by having a player who is able to do that. It's
I love it's
availability is best ability.
Yeah, I love it. It's lesser of 2 evils. It's like KJH on Fox, but with Falco for the Fox matchup, or no KJH at all.
Yeah,
and honestly,
I'll take KJH.
As you described that, I was like, I was like, he's just like me. That's what I do in net play. I don't like playing the Fox Ditto, so I switched to Falco and lose. And I could probably do better on the Fox Ditto, but I don't like it. And it's a game.
What did we talk about, Jack? What did we talk about with H God in the front row? Is that we said that natural sports, like athletic sports, whatever you want to call it, traditional.
Yeah,
sports,
they are natural. Soccer has been with us since the beginning. Basketball, the monkeys playing it. Yeah.
But yeah, like these sports, whatever you want to call them, traditional sports, have a lot of players who go into their 30s. There's no reason why a game that you play, like with your, there's reaction time, of course, but like there's no reason that a game that's like mainly your fingers and your eyes should be something where you are like, yeah, you gotta retire at 25, man. And what did we talk about? We talked about depression, right? It's like, can you outlast depression?
We posed the question to Hungrybox, and I said, Hungrybox, I think the biggest barrier to longevity in Melee for Melee players is depression. How do you feel about that? And he was like, that makes perfect sense. And I was like, so do you ever think about going to therapy? And he just kind of demurred, and I almost got him. This has been my project, is if I ever write a book about Melee, much like Edwin Budding here, our lovely author, it would be titled "The Gods Need Therapy." Because that is my thesis about the whole scene as a whole. Is the better you get at this game, the more I assume you need therapy. The exception might be Zane. He seems pretty well adjusted, but then you talk to him about how he feels about like losing and stuff, and you're like, oh, maybe it's everybody.
Isn't Mango in therapy right now for
I hope so.
He's a sports psychologist.
Yeah, he's talked.
Sports psychologist. Does it count?
Yeah, sure. No, I'll say no. I'm willing to take a hot take.
I think it can. I think that's between you and your doctor, right? But it might not.
I think it seems. If you are someone who, a lot of, honestly, when it comes to Melee players, see, Jack, this is what you bring to the show. When it comes to Melee players, there are a lot of different things that are very mentally draining. You're in front of 5,000 people. Hey, if you're lucky, 5,000 people, and there is like a certain aspect of that can wear you down. But yeah, I mean, if your main thing is to be a competitor, then I think that sports psychology is fine. Let's talk about the big guy.
To talk to people, about Melee. It's not easy out here. Performing for an audience is a very unusual thing for human beings. We're supposed to be in our little tight-knit groups, and now all these people are judging me. It's horrible. So
perceiving.
Wait, tell me which of the big guys are you talking about? I don't know whether you're talking about HBox or whether you're talking about Plup.
About what?
I could be talking about the big guy upstairs.
Could be.
Have you thought about Santa Claus, Edwin? Have you considered Santa?
I don't like
about Santa Claus, Edwin?
I'm not gonna run.
Edwin?
Okay, Edwin.
Do you believe in Santa Claus?
Edwin, we'll talk about another guy with a booming voice and a big beard. We'll talk about HBox. That's what it took. That was it. Edwin, we get 50 more episodes. He's gone.
We won.
No, that was great. That was an excellent. Episodes. That was an excellent transition. You are top 8 ready. You were born for this.
Get me on again. Let's talk about HBox here. So he is a guy, comes into the year. We are. I have the rumblings. I hear the rumblings of the world. I'm a very ear to the ground, salt of the earth type Melee fan. I'm seeing what's going on online. I think he's about to be coming back, but he is kind of has to go against a lot of different people who doubt him. And his arc in 2022 has been very interesting because he came into the year, was not looking good. 2021, very rough on him. Came to the year 2022, and things are starting to get together. He gets what? Does he get 5th at Genesis, and then he cuts 2nd at Pound, and then he's getting top 3 and some other events. And now we find ourselves here, where it feels like we're slipping away. There was a point where we argued, is HBox number 2 in the world? And now, honestly, the argument's probably against him being top 5 at the moment. So I think the thing that we talk about with HBox, the thing that I've said this entire time, is that he might be consistent. He might have all of these 2nd, 3rd places. But honestly, if he's not one of the 5, 6, 7, I don't know, people this year who can win a major, then I have trouble putting him there. So, Edwin, you saw it. You saw he lost to KJH. He lost to Plup. Got 5th place here. this was the one to do it, right? Everyone went in saying this was the one to do it. If you're HBox, you need to win this one. He got 5th here. How do you feel about HBox's chances the rest of the year?
I gotta say, you just said it, right? But like, I'm gonna put it in a few more words. If you were to manufacture the return of HBox by giving him a familiar environment to, beat the players that he's always played and beaten throughout his career, and to do it all in his home state, it would have happened at this tournament, but it did not. Instead, he lost to KJH, then played Plup early. So, with regards to, I'll get into the Plup loss because I think it's a little more meaningful than just a drop set to another top seed at the event. But as far as the KJH loss, now we're heading into a time where if there's a tournament coming up, and we're coming up into a stretch of a lot of turns, if we see HBox versus Aklo or like HBox versus Moki in the tournament, that's not something that we're going to be like, oh, we know those two have given him problems online, but this is land. This is a fundamentally different HBox. Now I don't know if KJH can, because like you would think it would be the other way around, right? You would think that like the person with the better online record or whatever over HBox temporarily, HBox will win when it counts, right? They show up in a major, you're not betting against HBox. But like now we're in a position where like suddenly the shoe is on the other foot. Like KJH, consistently taking sets over HBox online over the year. Come a major, we all expect HBox to win, and it doesn't happen. KJH actually straight up 3-1s them. I think this is repeatable, Lee. I think, maybe Moki doesn't win 4 consecutive offline sets, but I think, but this is very scary. He can't take that for granted anymore. I think you got people in the field like Aklo. I still think Crudo is a scary shot for HBox if that shows up in bracket, and that's not even going into how Zane, IBW, we'll see where Wizrobe goes from here, but like even those 3 will be so difficult for HBox to beat. And I gotta add, it's true that HBox has consistently made top 8s, but we've seen him drop sets outside of the top 5 or so. He made top 8 at Genesis, but he lost to none in winners bracket. He's lost to KJH here. I think we're seeing
KJH lost, by the way. I will say that is the the most recent. The last time. Okay, give me a second chance. I can do this again. This is my fucking redemption shot. The last time that fucking I almost called him KJH. The last time that Hungrybox lost a set to the last time Hungrybox lost a set to a Fox player who's never been top 10, Lucky's probably been top 10, though.
You're going to do this again? You're going to go back
to it?
I'm not touching this statistic with a 5-foot pole.
I fucked it up the first time.
I didn't even know what the truth is. I thought I was going to say I don't know anything about this.
He lost to Hacks in 2019, and I tried to word it so that Hacks wouldn't count because I don't want to say Hacks. But I didn't say Fox player, so Albert. And then people were making fun of me because of online, but like, come on. None of that online shit counted.
Yeah.
HBox is a different beast on LAN.
And I mean, the thing is like this, we always talk about HBox like placing consistently in top 8s, right? But in the past, when he's placing consistently in top 8, he's coming from winner's side, right? Like he's beating the 10 seed or whoever, like the 8 seed or 9 seed, and we know he's going to be there in winner's side.
No, Edwin, he's not beating them. He's crushing them.
Yeah, he's crushing them like a grape, right? In the past,
but like grist for the mill. That's right.
Yeah, very, very brutal. But
he's
like the way you treat your staffers at Melee Stats.
I never treat my
grist
staff
for the mill
poorly. I treat my staff and treat them
exposure. You're gonna get exposure if you come on this show.
But so Edwin, you're talking about he does surgery on them like they're a grape on the 10 seed.
Well, what I was saying is that we're seeing him make top 8s, but it's from loser side, which kind of hurts your chances of winning a tournament, right? So it's like
2, at least 2. Edwin didn't know that, but I did know it. I knew that at least 2.
Jack's turning me against you.
I was so Edwin pilled this weekend, Edwin. I was on your side for everything. I backed you up, and then I read this letterboxd review of the film Lincoln. And it broke me. It broke me out of my dedication to being Edwin pilled so quickly you wouldn't even believe. It was like all the memories came rushing back of all the dog shit takes, and I lost it. I lost it.
Do you want me to watch the movie again and like get a
you want to watch it together?
Okay, so can I say that like I love your letterbox reviews, man. I just like I fundamentally disagree with reviewing a movie that you saw 4 years ago.
That's crazy. That is the worst part. And I don't even disagree with the stars you gave it. That's fine. It's the reasoning and the memory part of it. I just don't get it. And wait a second.
Look,
Amazing. You were looking really morose a second
again.
ago. Can you do that? Can you do that pose again?
No.
You were doing a morose pose.
What's wrong with you?
That's perfect. That's
oh my god, this is our 50th episode.
That's the shot, baby.
If we can't survive this one, then we... Okay, so Edwin, I'm sorry. You had a lot of
This is revenge for the Prague episode, isn't it? This is revenge for me making you sit there for like 60 minutes while Prague talked when it's like 2000 back.
So Jack? Do you think so yes or no? Do you think HBox can win a major?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, Wheat, do you think HBox can win a major?
Not right now.
There's always a chance.
What? Give it a number, a percentage, and round it to 10.
2%.
2%.
So
okay,
yeah,
2%.
All right, 2.2%.
Yeah, I'd say 20%. I'd say it's around Mango. It could definitely happen, but I probably wouldn't put a ton of money on it.
We have a lot
next
of big
topic.
majors
Players
coming
to look out for at GOML.
No, Jack, Moneyball this shit. Look, you got JD to switch the slides. Okay, Jack, Moneyball really quickly. Moneyball me a
JD, do you have any Moneyball?
Moneyball me a situation where HBox wins a tournament. You're all about analytics and stats, supposedly.
Yeah, I think.
What is his bracket path to win?
I think it will happen. The way that I imagine it is he gets kind of roasted at the first couple tournaments in this big stretch we have. He reaches a crossroads and he's like, well, there's like 8 more tournaments to come. I can obviously recover my reputation from where I'm at. He spends the next 2 tournaments actually practicing like some of his DI mix-ups against Fox that I think hasn't really been doing anymore that he did in like 2018. Obviously, like Foxes have learned and have new ways of getting out of it, but get some of that old pizzazz back. Try some new shit. Talk to the other Jigglypuffs maybe about setups and maybe practice about those setups and see how they work. I think he's begun to dip his toe in those waters, and it's going to take a come to Jesus moment of losing at multiple tournaments for him to make that decision. That's the world where it happens. I don't think it's the most likely world, but that's the narrative that I could see it playing through.
Jack, I need you to tell me his bracket path today, because the thing is, in the past,
a Fox like Chem or Panda, and in kind of that like just before like the top 16 to top 8 path. He avoids most of the really hard Foxes, but he gets a couple that could beat him, your KJHs and stuff, and he wins that. I will say I think KJH is better at the matchup than like everybody outside of IBDW, Plup. Who else?
He's better at the matchup than Plup.
I think so.
He's better. I think he's better than Plup at the matchup.
But this is the point I'm going to bring up, right? In the past, if you were to bring up like who is HBox's ideal opponent in this path, right? You would have probably said Plup in the past, but I got to tell you, like,
I still say it. He played so degenerate at CEO. He played like such a weirdo.
Yeah, out of their last 5 sets, Plup is one, like, counting the exhibition in which like Plup just kicked him around. Plup has won 4 of their last 5.
Yeah, I think he needs. I think he needs Jmook, Amsa, as somebody's putting in the chat. I think those are really good picks.
What is it, like Jmook, Amsa,
he definitely needs a bit of bracket luck, but so do a lot of people to get to where they get at majors. So I think with bracket luck, the same way that Axe has gotten bracket luck to get into grands and Wizrobe sometimes gets a little bracket luck to get into grands, it's very similar to that. He's kind of been reduced to a really great character specialist, which we've seen in Melee's history many times. It's a role that HBox himself played before his kind of ascension in 2016. And he was still able to win tournaments before 2016. It just took a little bit of that, things going a little bit the right way to get him in grands, and then, closes the deal.
So there's an interesting thing with HBox. Are we going to see the return of the king, do you think? If he wins one, is it a blood in the water situation where he just suddenly... No,
he doesn't have that dog in him.
I think Zane and IBDW are too hard. I think they're always going to be difficult for him.
Zane and IBDW work so fucking hard, and Hungrybox is a giga streamer. You're not going to be consistent enough. He doesn't stream Melee alone. So like Mango, I think actually could have like a back-to-back resurgence because he mostly streams Melee. And I actually think that's a big difference. I think that matters quite a bit. But I still would bet on IBDW and Plup and Jmook and Zane against Mango. But I think that it matters what you spend your time in your day doing compared to your competitors. And Puff is a really, really high ROI character, so Hungrybox will continue to put up
Return
great
on
results.
investment.
Yep.
As HBox would say.
Yeah, we asked him about it finally. He will continue to put up great results because I think his innate talent and the way that Puff plays gives him a high floor, right? But the ceiling is getting beaten in.
Do you guys remember in 2017 when he lost a few tournaments in a row? I think he got like third at Evo. He didn't win. Oh, he got third at Evo. He lost DreamHack Atlanta to Plup. I think there was another tournament there that he lost, and then he lost to Mango and Plup at SmashCon, got like fourth or something like that.
Not my number one.
Well, that was the thing. It was okay. He's done. He's cooked. People, there's rumblings on the inside that he should maybe take a break. Shine's coming up in only a few weeks, and he should honestly just skip it. No, he wins Shine, and then he goes on to have honestly one of the best runs of all time, only which is rivaled by a run that was that same year, which is Armada's late 2016 to early 2017 run.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think that it would be very funny if HBox wins one tournament where it's just like, yeah, Leffen dropped out and Zane got upset early and he beat Jmook in winners finals and then like squeezed out a set versus Omset. It was just like really like a not convincing win, and then suddenly it just all falls back into place. But let's talk about GOML, because GOML is something where we're going to be seeing a lot of competition. Something I would say a fair bit more stacked than CEO 2022.
A bit. Just
I would say a bit. Edwin, you love yourself some deep regions. You love Florida because it's a deep region. How do you feel about Ontario?
How do you feel about Ontario, Edwin?
I think Ontario's got a lot of good players. I think they have a long time. The region was kind of like the New Jersey of the Midwest, and that like
what even the fuck does that mean? Stop.
Well, even people who are like not ranked would be like randomly good, right? Like you would have players like the Wanderer or whatever who would just be borderline PR.
New Jersey of the Midwest. Toronto's very close to Chicago. You're capping. New Jersey of the Midwest.
Would they call themselves Midwest?
I'm talking about specifically in terms of like Melee. Like
if I can drive to the tournament from Chicago, you're in the Midwest. That's my marker.
I don't think it should be up to you to decide what they get.
I think it's a good analogy. More importantly,
which analogy?
Who do we know from Ontario that we can call up right
now? We could call like Faust or something.
Bring him on. Bring him in. Somebody in the chat.
I don't think we have Faust on speed dial.
I'm send a DM. Okay, talk about New Jersey of Midwest.
By the way, if I'm ever being too combative, Edmund, and it's making you anxious, just kind of give me a hand signal, and I'll stop. Right?
It's not making me anxious. I just want to make sure my point is coming across.
Which one?
Oh, just the fact that Ontario is really stacked. It's just got a ton of players that like beat each other, and it's kind of hard to tell how good they are because they all just like beat each other. Even like the high Arcadian players or like the borderline PR ones historically. Like even people like I think we're going to be seeing like Platt at this tournament. We're just going to be seeing a bunch of like random people like Goose Khan is going to be here. That guy was like top 5 in Ontario, but we haven't seen him at like a big major event. So we're going to see how he performs here. Yeah, it's just kind of an interesting region. I think that also like because it's in GOML and it's going to get a bunch of Canadian talent, we'll also see Damian Tyson there, which I could not believe.
Edwin, you can't let. I just said DT. I said 2 letters, and now you're done.
DT. Yeah, he's very good. You
can't let that derail yourself so quickly.
It's just like
life's like a train, and if you don't lay your tracks down, Edwin, the train's gonna go right off those tracks. It's gonna derail. In fact.
Oh no!
This is my broken. This is my hand signal. Every time Jack comes on, I'm just gonna do this.
I think Jack, he's every 50 episodes. He's our little boss that we have to face.
He's not even a boss. He's like a cartoon from like a parody movie.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Have you ever seen?
Actually, wait, no. I want to hear this. What cartoon parody movie would he be from?
Wait a second.
I was thinking of like Beazle the cat from movie 43.
God, movie. Oh, what? Hey, speaking of Letterboxd, what's your movie 43 review, Edwin?
I think I gave it like half a star.
Yeah, but what was the review, not the rating?
Oh, I said that watching the movie will make you want to join Al Qaeda.
And so you said that you were you made it very clear to me that you were so much better of a Letterboxd reviewer than I am.
I am.
Can I read a review that you posted recently?
Which one?
Do I have?
Are you gonna read the Kill Bill one?
No. Do I just have a blanket allowance to read a review from you?
No, I don't like it. You're doing this to try to own me.
I'm not trying to own you. I don't think it's. Honestly, Edwin, can I say this with all honesty? It is not your worst review. It is like not your worst 50% of reviews. I think it's funny.
What do you think the worst review is?
Edwin, can I read this out to you?
No, I don't like it.
Jack?
We're supposed to be talking about Melee. You're not supposed to be trying to own me.
I'm not owning you. Oh my god, can I bring this up?
I just told you no.
Okay, that's fair. But you have to think of the fans here as well.
I am.
Currently bribing your stream lord.
So you're willing to deprive them of... Okay, Edwin, go on. What are you saying? You're saying GooseCon is going to get 65th here?
I don't think he'll get 65th, but I think he can go a big way. We're also going to be seeing the UK come here, which I think is going to be really exciting. We're going to be seeing
if Toronto is the New Jersey of the Midwest, what is the UK?
The UK is like the Ohio of Europe.
Okay. Jack, does that track?
Stick with that analogy.
What was it again?
Jack, you missed it the first time. You're not allowed to get it back.
I'm trying to listen.
Here, Edwin, here's a fun question. Who do you think is going to be the highest placing Canadian here?
Ooh. I'm going to say...
Kirby Kaze.
I say Moki.
Okay.
Underrating Kirby Kaze. Huge. It's kind of crazy of you.
I think Moki will get top 4.
Whoa. What is his path? Does he have to beat Jmook?
I actually don't know what his path is. I just think that he'll do really well.
Edwin, every time I'm getting closer and closer to reading this review.
He's got a proverbial review to your head.
I honestly don't think this is the worst review you've made. I think it's one of the more palatable ones. It doesn't have the word orgiastic in it.
Orgiastic's a great word.
I cannot believe you're defending.
That's so sick. Wait, it is a great word. I've been pilled.
No, you're missing the rest of the sentence.
Uh-huh.
It's an orgiastic mix of Inception, The Matrix, and It's a Wonderful Life. Do you know what movie that describes?
Wait a second. I bet I could just guess.
It's an mix of The Matrix, Inception, and It's a Wonderful Life.
Edwin, did you just perfectly describe everything, everywhere, all at once?
He did not perfectly describe it.
No, that's what the movie is.
No, dude, you're so... Like, the fact that those are the building blocks and those are the only words that you're able to use to describe this, that your language is compromised, like, only of movies such as Inception, The Matrix, and It's a Wonderful Life to describe such a...
Yeah, because the movie shares...
players to look out for at GOML.
It has a lot of, like, it like pays... It's like... not an homage, but it uses similar elements.
Should we be looking out for Hammer Time at GOML?
What?
Hammer Time, the Ice Climbers player? He's
PR'd. Is going here.
He was PR'd in a couple years back.
Kingu's going to be here. Edwin, how do you think the UK is going to do here?
I think Kingu and Max. It'll be really exciting to see how they do. They've been like top 5 in the UK for a while now. We kind of know where that puts them in terms of like the rest of Europe. So I'm very interested to see how that translates over into NA. I think Kingu could get Kingu and Max could both get top 32 at this tournament, if not deeper. Kingu especially, I'm pretty interested to see how him versus Jamron goes, because one kind of weird thing about Kingu, he goes Fox against Peach. He doesn't go Puff against Peach. So sort of interested to see how that turns out. He might have to play
Liquid
also.
What about
Liquid's
Liquid?
pretty good. He's a Marth player.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been too like super active lately, but he's been PR'd there for a while.
Yeah. Do you feel like Mono versus AMSA could be a thing?
I think AMSA will probably beat him. I have to assume.
I don't even think that's seeded to happen.
Why not? See, that's TOs need to seed some shit to happen. There's not going to be another opportunity for Yoshi Dittos, right? In like a while.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I think AMSA played Whiskers in like some ridiculous like Japan to tri-state like 300 ping friendlies or whatever, and got 5-0, but it was like not playable at all. They just played because they thought it was funny.
What about Meek Speedy?
Jack? What is your goal here?
I'm just thinking about Ontario players that could do a really good job.
So Edwin, Max is going to lose to Secrets, I think.
That could happen.
I think that's such a tough draw for Max.
That is very hard.
I don't know. The good thing is that we get to see Max at Double Down. We get to see Prof and Frenzy at Double Down. Maybe another one of them's going. I don't know. I honestly, very exciting to see the Tino, the fattest of the Tinos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna get to see him also. We
hopefully get to see him versus Joshman. I think that is going to be a very, very fun one. That is seeded. That's like upset potential, right? I mean, when you get Joshman, very good player, but Tino, I think, is someone who we really shouldn't be disrespecting like this. I think he can really, really do it. A lot of the UK players, I think, are a little underseeded, so I'm waiting to see some upsets because I think they're definitely going to make some upsets by seed.
A while ago, I was in the UK Discord. I was arguing over something with them. It was something Melee stats related.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I was like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Like, we do our research, and they were like, well, if you do your research, tell us how good Fat Tino is in London or whatever. And I was like, I think he like loses. He loses to Prof, but he's like a tier above everyone else. It's kind of like Prof in tier 1, and Tino is in like a second tier, and then there's everyone else underneath it. New Fat Tino.
Dude in the voice.
That's an enormous flex.
Dude in the voice.
Dude, in what voice?
You were in the UK Discord. They sounded exactly like you. Do the voice that they would use.
Oh, you mean? Like, oh, I can't believe you knew what you were talking about. You knew Fat Tino.
How would they sound? Like? How would they sound before you proved yourself? They must have been angry. How would that have sounded?
Yeah, they were like, Edwin, you don't know what you're talking about.
No, I think they'd sound angrier, especially
Edwin,
after a night.
Leave it alone.
How
dare
you?
Think about Melee.
This is the problem with Americans.
All right, now what about if it was Mint? What if it was someone from Ireland?
Za 5%.
Okay, all right.
Shout out to Mint.
I think it's sick to go through and be able to like go into a local scene and be a guy that they've never met before and is essentially a pundit and just like know everything about them. It's like most locals, they just do their tournaments, they record them and put them online, and they cease to exist in the minds of everybody else.
It is like dance ranking man dance, because I remember going to Smash Camp and then a bunch of people were like, "Who's number 6 in St. Louis right now? Who's the best player in Arkansas?" It's just like kept having to prove myself.
It's crazy. That's huge. You've got some working memory. You've got some RAM.
That guy Stock knows like the most random people.
How about that guy Edwin? You got a Samsung solid state drive SSD in your brain. Instant recall. How about that?
Jack,
I can't do that. I didn't even know the players in Indiana. They'd come in my tournament. I'd be like, "Oh, you're PR'd in Indiana." They'd be like, "Yeah, please seed me higher."
You don't know your Latins, your Blues, Mac Daddy 69.
Blue was not playing. Blue was not playing when I was a TO in Indiana. Actually, isn't that crazy?
That's wild.
Banana Sack, was he playing?
I don't know. That rings a bell.
I
just told you I wouldn't remember.
Well, maybe I was trying to open up a memory in you, like the trigger word, and now suddenly the sleeper cell has been activated.
I am the same sleeper cell that activates when I'm Edwin pilled. Suddenly my
what,
recall.
What happens is orgiastic? Is that what your like word is?
It's a good word.
The PR of Indiana Bloomington in 2010 at the top. PhD Louie, followed by Winnie, followed by Strawberry Love, followed by Danimals. There was one that I was 11. That was a good PR. That was a good week. Sorry.
Did you ever play with the Evansville scene?
Yeah.
Edwin, you're letting him take over. We have to talk about players to look out for at GOML.
I'm mad at you for trying to
Evansville
own
is
me.
cool. Do you remember?
I'm literally not trying to own you. It's one of my favorite reviews that you've written.
Edwin, do you know Peef on Earth, the known Peef known asshole in the Melee scene?
Yeah, what about him?
Formerly of the Melee scene, he claimed that like there was some funny post on our Bloomington Facebook page that was like, oh, the OGs, and it was some tournament of like Louis with our first weekly, right, when we were starting shit up, and he goes, you're actually not the OGs. I was the OG. I was the OG Bloomington TO. And his tournament was not hosted in Bloomington. It was called Peef on Earth, POE. And we look at the Smash Boards thread for it, and some people are being nice, but a lot of people were like, this is a shit event, and you were a mean person to us. And I just love that Smash Boards, you can reach into the depths of Smash Boards to just find the soul of a person that you don't like in a given moment. So... yeah, Indiana, full of history, full of lore. It's really where Melee began. Melee FC, baby. So,
Jack, got a question for you. So we of course have established the fact that New Jersey, that Ontario is the New Jersey of the Midwest. The fact that UK is the Ohio of Europe. Indiana is the what of what?
He just got up and walked away.
Honestly, if he sat through orgiastic mix, I thought that he would just.
I'm mad at you, dude. How dare you try to act better than me at this?
I'm not trying to act better than you. I'm just trying to bring you down to my level.
No, dude.
You think that you're the best reviewer? You think that you're fucking you're like Lester Bangs. That's what you think you are.
I don't even know who that is.
I think it's insane.
I'm going to look out for all the players at GOML. That's my opinion. That's my take. I think all the players are worth looking out for, and if we don't look out for a player, it's actually disrespectful to the spirit of the game. How about that?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy they didn't rig Zuppy H-Box to happen.
You know who I think could have a chance for a very big GOML? I think Wally has a chance for a very big GOML.
This is someone Mateo.
Yeah, if he gets past Mateo, and I think he can do it. I think Wally especially has been one of those guys that, like, you know, a few years ago, you could, you know, every other weekend you'd see Wally at a regional in the Northeast or like traveling somewhere, getting big wins. Then Wally kind of disappeared during the pandemic because he wasn't really a big net player. And then he started going to tournaments again once the, you know, like around last summer or so. This year, you know, what we've seen of Wally and locals has been pretty good, and regionals it's been all right. But as far as the really big events go, he's kind of run into a few unfortunate brackets. Like at Genesis, I know he had to play Jmook, and then like later on play Moki in losers. I think at Function he had a bit of a tough bracket also. So I'm really excited to see how Wally does, because I think you know, this is someone who I think, you know, heading into this year, I thought he might finish the year in top 50 or get a lot of like really big wins. You know, we saw him take a stray set off Kadoran. I think like he was either late last year or early this year. Definitely someone that I think is like kind of rising up the Peach main ranks. I think this could be a really big event for Wally to like remind everyone that like he's not just a guy who does well in tri-state, but, you know, can take names on the big stage.
Edwin, I agree. He's getting 9th here.
What's his path there?
Bad. What's wrong with getting 9th?
He beats Mateo 2-1. Mateo SD's last dog. Destroys Mango. Lucky plays, you know, whoever was supposed to play Wizzy, because Wizzy DQs. He beats Lucky 3-2. Loses to none, or whoever's after that, and then loses right before top 8. Gets 9th place. He gets to be etched into the hall of, you know, famous 9th placers in the world. And we all do a little dance and we all are all happy. Who's winning GOML?
What would be the set of results, that would make you the happiest of who's winning GOML? Let's set aside the goddamn numbers for a minute and just think about your heart. What would make you the happiest?
I would love it if what would I love? What would I love to happen?
Do you even love this game anymore? Are you so riddled and twisted by these numbers and analyses that you've forgotten what it was like to look at it like a child with wonder in your eyes?
It'd be fun. Hey, I'll just pick Wally. If Wally wins, that'd be fun.
Okay, let's go, Wally.
I'd be happy.
Wally's got a path, right?
Wally, yeah, there's always a path. I just described Wally's path to ninth. Just instead of ninth, put that as first place. He can go to his job and tell them "fuck you" and then quit, and then probably have to get another job because I imagine that first place at a 400-person tournament, as good as that might be, it's not going to cover that much rent.
I'm gonna say Geo wins.
Geo, what's Geo's path?
I think he's going to defeat he's gonna play like someone from Ontario, like top 64. I'm gonna pull out a random name there. He plays like Platt or something. He wins.
We do have seeding for this.
Yeah, I just haven't looked at it.
There's no need to make it up.
Does your heart have seeds? And can I nourish those seeds and care for them and give them the love that they deserve such that they should grow? Wheat?
So Null Moki. What do you like there?
Does he well, I predicted Null to win the tournament, so
No, but how does he get there? There's a million different paths here. Does he beat
who does he play before Moki?
Eric.
Yeah, he beats Eric, I think.
Yeah, I didn't ask that. I asked, does he beat Moki?
Yeah, I predicted him to win the event. So,
yeah, but he can win from losers.
No, it has to be from winners.
So combative here.
It's a dominant performance. I think he destroys. It's like an all-time great major performance. So he beats Moki. Who does he play after Moki? God,
it doesn't matter at that point.
What's wrong with combat? What's wrong with combat? You call Edwin combative. You call me combative.
Jack, who do you want to win?
Who do I want to win in my heart?
Yeah. What makes you the happiest?
Yeah. That's a great question. Who's going? Could you pull up a list?
I'll
pull it up real quick. Give me a second.
Look what you did to Edwin. I don't know why that was the thing. Orgiastic, I don't like.
Yeah, well, for him, this is the equivalent of me saying orgiastic. Me not knowing off the top of my head the full list of tournament attendees for a tournament that I will be in Vermont and not watching. Unfortunately, I would. Well,
Vermont's
actually, I
pretty close to Toronto.
Yeah, it's right there. Let's see. Summary
is Vermont Midwest.
From Chicago, so that seems to make sense. I think. Let's see. We got Zane, Moki, Amsa, Jmook, IBW, Mango, HBox, None, Prof Pro. I would love a Josh Man win. I think we're in this era where I could just say that and I'm like, I could see it happening. Why not?
Sure.
I think of the people that are favorites to win, I'm pretty open to a lot of the various options. So if it's Zane, I feel like Zane's been kind of not winning as much as he would have hoped. And I love how Zane approaches the game. So I'd love to see that, especially if Zane pulls out the puff. If Zane pulls out the puff, I'm a Zane fan for life.
Wow, you think we're actually seeing it?
And if not that, I would be okay with an IBDW, a Mango, a Jmook closing the deal.
Well, give me your brain. The heart spoke. What about the brain? Yeah, what's the brain thing?
It's a crazy time. It's I don't feel like my brain has the same kind of predictive capacity that one might hope for. I would not put money on. I would be okay with betting favorably on Zane, Jmook, and IBDW.
Wow. Edwin, you're the betting man. Who do you think? Who's your pick to win?
I think that I'm gonna
Welcome
go.
back,
I'm
Edwin,
gonna
by
go
the way.
Zane.
It was cool of you to
Yeah,
come into the show late and then drop out randomly in the middle.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I'm the enemy of the show. I'm the bad guy.
I think I would go with. I think I'd go with Zane. It just seems like a pretty safe pick.
You're all about safe picks. I'm gonna go with a guy who I got the pleasure of speaking to this past weekend. I'm gonna say it's IBW. I got a feeling. I've got a hot take that I'm saving up for a couple weeks from now. And honestly, if this hot take gets if it gets a little freezer burn because the person who I'm going to pick to win an event in a few weeks ends up winning this one, I'd be pretty mad. But yeah, for now, I think IBW's got a pretty good chance at this. He's about to go to a bunch of events in a row, and who knows? Maybe he'll look worse for wear by the end of it. But for right now, I think he's pretty fresh. He took a lot of time off. He's always he's a student of the game, and hey, this is the time to beat Zane, right? We've seen him.
Honestly,
get
it's
really
Amsa's
close.
shot too. Now that I'm looking at Amsa's bracket, this is a good. I mean, Joshman could upset Amsa. That's like a pretty good path for Josh, and then you could either Marth Ditto Zane or try to go for the Fox. I actually think the Marth Ditto would be kind of funny to try.
Wait, who Marth Dittos?
Oh, you'd have to beat Jmook first. Sorry, I was looking at Joshman's bracket.
Oh, Joshman.
Amsa has a good bracket.
Yeah. So like here, the thing with Amsa is I think when it comes to him, there's not like you see him against a player and you think like he can't beat him, right? Like I think we've seen Amsa beat like most of the top people in this field at some point or another, or we've seen him come close to like show us enough promise that we think he could do it in enough tries, right? I mean, like when you're talking about his chances of winning a major, you're talking about his likelihood of like beating multiple of those opponents over the same weekend. So I think like while his like set by set, like he's got a fighting chance, or you can't totally discount him. I think doing it over a whole weekend is like pretty tough. I thought he might do it at Battle of BC, but I think I think I probably just have to. I think after that event, I have to readjust how I view his chances against the Foxes in particular, because before that, he was just kind of like opening a can of whoop ass on like all of them, like really dominating them.
He opened up a can of whoop ass on all of them.
Language.
Is that in your reviews? Is that in the review for a film that you appreciate?
I don't think it might be. I don't know.
I'm not opposed to opening up a can of whoop ass. I gotta say, I've
definitely written it in. I've written it in a Monday Morning with Marth.
Oh, I've written it in a high school yearbook. I told my friend, hey, this summer you're gonna open up a can of whoop ass hags.
Edwin, yeah, I've written hags a lot. Edwin, you also are very partial to the phrase "running a train on someone," aren't you?
yeah. Pete told me that like I could not say that, and it didn't hit me until like I realized what he was talking about.
We found out balls to the wall is not phallic or like genitalia at all. It's about the throttle in like an airplane being pushed all the way to the wall of the thing.
And we kept saying it on Panda.
Yeah, so that's why we said it all the time.
And so there's a Nintendo representative who kept trying to come over. And we went and we would pull out.
What the Nintendo representative said, he was like, "Listen." At first, he said as Wheat describes, but there was this little twinkle in his eye, that said, "I love you and I care about you." And then he came back a second time, and it was like, yo, we need to go balls to the wall with balls to the wall. Mm-hmm. I need you to get one of those in every set. And
he wanted it to be like a merch thing, too. He wanted us to have, like you were supposed to have a shirt that said it, right?
It was going to be in corduroy.
Yeah, a little bit of expensive, but they were willing to front it. So
it's classy. It's classy. Because you did the juxtaposition. All right, I have a question for you, Edwin. Do I have permission to ask it?
If you choose to accept.
What was that? I couldn't hear you.
I said go ahead.
I can ask you the question.
Yes.
That's sick. I really appreciate that from you. All right. Can Jmook beat Hungrybox in losers quarterfinals as is currently seated?
I think he can, but it's unlikely. So I'm not gonna predict it. I think I'd give it like
3 stars, 3.5.
What do you think? Like 4-1 odds in Jmook HBox.
I think he's beating HBox this year. I don't think he's beating HBox this tournament.
I think if HBox performs like he did at CEO with the mentality that he had at CEO, then Jmook takes it easy.
The thing with HBox is that I really do think that he doesn't get in these mental ruts that we kind of might see from other people who get the same, who like go through the same shit that he does. He's actually like just like got a mental fortitude that I don't think we talk about enough. For as much as like the pop offs and whatever, and like hey, who knows? We've all seen that grand finals where Fable 3-0s him and 3-stocks him on Dreamland, and
I feel like we are at a low point of a Hungrybox mental stability.
I agree. But honestly, I've seen sets.
The Fable 3-0 is the funniest thing that happened.
Hold up on stream. Hey, so you don't do that here?
No. We're not. This is not the enhanced stream powered by PG Stats. So we have seen HBox and go through a lot of shit. And honestly, if you look at HBox in some sets, you look at his player, completely different than what you see, like actually being played. I've seen him put his head down and like he wins the set. Remember when he rolled? Like we like to talk about this tournament where he just got destroyed. Do you remember when he rolled onto stage to play Armada? Like probably the guy who whooped him the most for his entire career. That set wasn't a wash. Like he has always been able to like honestly not let his like his outward mental like whatever you think is going on. It doesn't really correlate 1-to-1 with what's actually.
Have you considered that he's a millionaire now though?
You know, he didn't tell me that.
It definitely is true.
I mean, we were chatting at CEO. I feel like a good friend like that would have told me.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't have a friend who's a millionaire, but I figured if I did, they would tell me.
Yeah, you do.
Ludwig?
I guess. I think the whole... I don't know how much they make, but...
You think the whole house are millionaires?
Everybody that... Yeah.
And they didn't tell me?
I think that Hungrybox, what does he have, 10,000 subs?
I'm not a pocket.
He's an owner also. You have to consider that.
Yeah, a part owner of yeah, 1 second.
How much is part?
He's making at least like 300K a year from subs alone. Within this pace that he's been at for 2 or 3 years, if he's not like spending it all on gold chains, Melee is like, how could you? He seems to me like he's always been somebody who's motivated by trying to prove somebody's expectations of him wrong, right? And I don't know. I feel like if you're making just Giga Dolores on other shit, it makes it different how you engage with a matchup that you hate. He has always hated Fox Puff and is like a Fox complainer, and it's only getting worse, and more people are better at the matchup, and he has less incentive than ever to get good at it besides just personal like pushing through. And I still believe that he could do it, but man.
What was that video idea you had a while ago?
Don't reveal any video ideas.
Yeah, what's that video idea we had? No, Edwin. Me and you. It's just me and you. Let's pretend Wheat's not here. What's that video idea?
Yeah, he just
fly it out of you.
What you just sometimes he chooses to win and he chooses to lose.
Yeah. I think he can start to choose to win again. It's just the question. I always will believe that he could choose to win. But the question is, why would he choose that?
It's also like he could try to choose, or he could choose to win and still lose, right? Like Zane.
I did say that to my girlfriend. I was like, HBox lost. She was like, I thought he only loses when he chooses. I've been saying that very often, and I was like, I think he might not be able to choose anymore. I think other people might be choosing for him every once in a while. Not always. Every once in a while.
Who makes the choice here?
Yeah.
Who makes the choice at GOML? Get on my level 2022.
So who's winning GOML? Edwin.
Zane. I said Zane.
Okay, great. Who's winning GOML? Wheat.
Oh my god, I said IBW.
That's sick. I'm proud of both of you. I'm going Jmook.
Sounds fun. I hope this happens. Any of our, you know what? This is gonna be a fun tournament. I think there's a lot of cool people who could win this. And if HBox wins, we just get more to talk about. speaking of more to talk about,
content machine.
Jack, we've got some questions from our patrons for you. We, you're in the Patron channel.
They give you money?
Yeah, you give us money as well.
Yeah, but that's the only way that I can see what you guys are all talking about.
Very true. Edwin almost does exclusively post in the Patron channel. He will post like his dinner, and there's like
true.
There's like
I
a
post
food
to
channel.
other servers.
There's a food channel, Edwin, and you go. I thought the patrons would really want to know. It's like, no, post that in the food channel. So we have some questions for patrons, and we've been going through some ebbs and flows in terms of great questions and horrible questions. And I gotta say, right now we're in a little bit of a rut where everyone thinks that they have got their own little bit, and their bits are basically asking the same exact question week in and week out. And then when you say, hey, does anyone have any questions for our guest this week? It's kind of the same. Everyone's they're not willing to throw down the bit. Everyone's just like this iron clasp on it. So we've got a few people who have not done bits. So I'm going to ask one from Question Superstar Zadrio. How many of the 2019 MPGR do you think you can beat in a fight?
In a fist fight?
It does not say. I open to your interpretation.
Damn, man. Oh, in a fist fight. I'm gonna go with a physical fight. That seems to be the spirit of the question. If it's like a karaoke battle, I think I could take most of them. I got Dolly Parton 9 to 5 in the back pocket. But if it's like fist fighting, I'm pretty weak. I've got like a scrappy energy if I felt like my life was in jeopardy. I think I could take a lot of people if I thought my life was in jeopardy. I think my sixth sense would activate, and I'm a better gamer than a lot of people. But I think I don't know. There's some skinny boys in there, right? There's some weak lads themselves, so maybe 20, 30. I'd be okay putting myself in the bottom 30.
I used to ask a question when I was in high school. This is actually somewhat similar to the prompt that I used to give. And the prompt would be, you ask other people in the same high school. You say, suddenly, everyone is in a underground fight club. Everyone in our high school class. And it is your turn. You get to pick who you get to fight. So you want to pick someone who you can beat. You don't want to get up there and lose, but you also don't want to pick the smallest person in the grade, right? You don't want to make it seem like you're just kind of picking on someone weaker than you. You want someone who it'll be a close victory, so more is thought of. Who's that for you? If you could pick one person, so like you're confident you can beat them, but it would also be, it wouldn't be like you're punching down. Who do you think you would choose?
So an even fight from the top 100 2019.
Yep.
Even fight. Mewtwo King.
Mewtwo King.
Wasn't he going to the gym for a bit?
Huh?
Wasn't he going to the gym for a bit, like lifting weights and shit? I don't know. Is he still like super?
I think I'd sweep the leg. No shot. He does leg day.
Do you think that you could take?
All right, let me keep going down. Let me keep going down the list.
Do you think you could take Fiction? Fiction seems like an interesting one.
No, Fiction's bigger than me. I'm real svelte. It's gonna take I need who's the youngest person in the top 100? Do we have any children in there?
Yeah, at the time that probably would have been Billy Bo Peep or Cool Line.
Yeah, maybe like that kind of situation. I don't know. Next question.
I agree. I don't like this question.
You patrons, you're just like the show. You suck.
All right, well, this one is from.
I'm just kidding. I love the show. I love the show. I'm a loyal patron. I actually give it the maximum amount. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know if you give us the maximum amount, but you are a loyal patron. The second question is from Yamham. Jack, what got you back on the mic, and how are you feeling about the comeback so far?
Comeback. I still commentated. This is the first time I've been back on the mic getting paid for it. Since before COVID. I like when I'm not getting paid in terms of content better than when I am getting paid. For myself. It's a different kind of challenge. I'm always very skeptical that I should be the one on the mic pretty much at any time at any kind of formal event until I like, I don't know, hear other commentators and I'm like, okay, I'm not worse than that, right? Not necessarily better, but it's like it's fine. So in that respect, I don't really enjoy the just neuroses of having to second guess myself all the time. I don't, but I feel like I'm in a better place than I was a couple of years ago in terms of that, because I feel like the rest of my life is more straightforward and good, and so it's easier to be afraid that you're shit at Melee commentary when you have other sources of ego.
Very good. We talked a lot about this in our little IHOP trip, our little tendies trip. We had a good conversation with this. But yeah, I like that answer. Let me go to the next question. So this is the last question. Maybe something you'll have some ideas on. Maybe something that you'll decry as bullshit. So this is from Joey. How can we legislate Puff using urbanist ideas?
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot. So what you need to look for is what is the zero-sum game that we think is disastrous to the game, right? What is something that we can't actually compete over in a meaningful sense, and how do we make it costly? So for most of the time, are we talking about making Puff? What was it? Are we trying to make Puff worse, better, different? What's the goal, incentive?
It's a good question. Legislate is the word here, so open interpretation.
And what was the thing that we're trying to legislate? Puff doing what?
Puff.
Just legislate Puff?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would force everybody to play Puff for 4 tournaments in the top 50 and see how many people decide to pick her up as a solid secondary. You must play Puff, or even to make it even more, you must play Puff until you get top 16 with her, and then you can decide whether or not you want to drop her. And I make everybody play Puff, and then we finally can decide whether or not Puff is overrated or underrated. How's that?
What's the logistics here?
I make you do it. I'm the TO. Play Puff, or you're out.
What about, you can't TO every single tournament?
Yeah, I can in this hypothetical. It's legislated. It's not me doing it.
So what's
the government?
No, okay, but what's the?
This is federal law. It was bipartisan. It's one of the only things we could agree on in these divided times.
Wait, so how does the body get chosen? The legislative body, is it elected?
Elections. It's Congress.
What's the term limit?
It's real life. We're talking about real life here, Wheat. We're legislating.
What's the term limit?
Of a congressman right now, there is no term limit.
What about
in the United States Congress? You could just keep getting reelected.
So what you say? So the Congress is what's picking this?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Listen. Okay. If the Congress wants to make me the emergency Melee czar, I could do it that way too. But I think that would, we should at least get some.
Would you suspend habeas corpus to make everyone play Puff?
Yeah. In a second. We have to save the Republic.
And Jack,
that was the point of Lincoln, by the way, Edwin.
Yeah, who else suspended habeas corpus, Jack?
Yeah, Lincoln, one of the more notable incrementalist presidents.
I didn't say he was. I said the movie. I said the movie positions him like. I said the movie positions him like in the later end of the Civil War and the more like legislative like.
Which is why he screams in the movie, "I am clothed in immense power." And also gives a giant climactic speech about how he's not sure that he has the power to do what he's doing in the Constitution, but he's just going to do it.
But the movie focuses on the entire like passing of the 13th Amendment, right?
Yeah, because that's what had to happen.
So it's like you're focusing this entire like journey that he had all the way at the end, right?
Black,
like it's completely,
was good.
It's completely contained. Like you don't see his actual like journey from like the interesting part of when he was president, right? It's not that he himself is actually an incrementalist.
So then doesn't the movie make the argument that you could take somebody extremely radical and put them in the system and they will come out incremental? Not that the banning of slavery was an incremental improvement, but that's your position.
No, that's not.
And
that's
that was the next.
That's not what I said at all. That's such a straw man of what I said.
You were writing from memory. I forgive you for that. That's true.
What is Lincoln an orgiastic mix of?
Oh, it's an orgiastic mix. Mr. Smith goes to Washington, all the president's men, and a little bit of Hamilton.
I think we're banning Jack from the show after
I think it predated Hamilton, didn't it?
It did.
I was
Hamilton
ready to
was
come
like,
on and be like a
2016.
normal guest, but there was, I don't know. It felt like you guys wanted me to be mean, and I'm nothing if not a man of expectations.
I don't think you'll be wanted at all after this episode.
Wow. Oh, how rude.
You see, I'm the source of the No, Edwin is harboring bitter energy that he's taking out, and I'm merely channeling that energy. What's the next patron question?
That was it. We only do 3.
Really? Pull up another one.
I honestly think that all of them are bad.
No, that's okay. We could pull up some bad ones.
I'll ask you here. We have a backup question I usually ask. What's your favorite pizza topping?
Oh, I really am like I have like kind of disgusting like high school or Arrested Development eating habits. So I mostly will just get cheese, but I actually do like pineapple on pizza. I am a pineapple on pizza lover and defender.
You know, we're a cheese pizza defending podcast. We've
Really?
we think it's a good choice.
Yeah, that makes me feel seen. Thank you.
If you get pineapple, do you only get pineapple?
Yeah, I'd just be cheese and pineapple.
Really?
I get overwhelmed easily.
Sensory overload.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, speaking of sensory overload, we love to talk about the 5 senses here, and one of those senses is touch. We have a segment here, a bit of an unofficial segment. It doesn't have a name, but our fans love to refer to it as touching grass. Jack, we are not monoliths in this Melee scene. We have multifaceted interests. We are human beings with many different likes and interests. So we have a little segment here at the end of the show where we talk about what else is going on in our lives, something to kind of give a little window into our non-Melee, non-Smash lives. I'll go first to give you guys some time. And I was really, really thinking this over these past 2 days because I was kind of like, okay, we had an episode last Tuesday or Wednesday or so, and then I feel like the next day I just kind of went to an eye doctor appointment, and then I went to CEO the next day, and then I just kind of spent a lot of time at CEO. And I was wondering, well, what did I do outside of Smash? And I really thought I was going to have a cool answer because the past 2 days I've been listening to a lot of a musical group known as Domi and JD Beck. Jack, I'm not sure if you know this. I think that they're very up your alley. Edwin, you might have seen a video of theirs. They are a 2-person jazz band. It is keyboards and drums. Very, very good. Very frenetic. These 2 people, very, very talented. They did a cover. I think it got, or like not a cover. They did a video doing a bunch of Mad Villainy covers. Very, very good. But then, unfortunately, I realized that is not what I've been doing most outside of Melee this past week. I think, unfortunately, what I've been doing is not the cool answer of this new jazz duo. It is the very lame answer of I've been taking in a lot of Marvel content. There's a podcast. There's a podcast from two comedians, Lauren Lapkus and Nicole Byer, called Newcomers, where they watch various series. I believe they did Lord of the Rings, they did Star Wars, Fast and the Furious, Tyler Perry, just like stuff that they really don't have any knowledge in, and watching it all for the first time, and there is some fun in that. So I've been listening to that a pretty decent amount, and then without realizing it, I think that has been like a slow drip back into Marvel for me, because they got to the point where I stopped watching them, so I was like, oh, I should catch up before they skip ahead of me. So I watched Black Widow, and then I've always heard good things about the comic series Hawkeye, the Matt Fraction series, so I decided to watch Hawkeye. So I am like slowly, I didn't even realize this, I'm taking in a lot of Marvel content. So that is very surprising to me. Marvel always something that I never really thought is incredibly great, but I do like to hear people talk about it. I do like to talk about it myself. It's like Star Wars in that capacity. I don't know. So, unfortunately, I could have said the very cool jazz thing, but it's the Marvel.
What's your favorite of the ones you've been watching?
Recently, I've only watched Black Widow.
Did you like it?
That one.
It was fine. It didn't have a bunch of characters who kept trying to make jokes. I think it had one or two, which was welcome respite from what we've had before. I think it just kind of did what it needed to do. Wasn't very flashy. I think it was fine. I generally tend to not love these Marvel movies, but I think I will watch them all. I don't know why. Maybe that's a toxic trait.
That's how I feel, Wheat. I feel we're becoming the same. I'm like, I know it's garbage, but I'll still watch that shit. It's fun having a persistent universe where you're having watched the old stuff gets you to get the dumb little payoffs and they spoon feed us this garbage. And I think as long as you don't like lose your fucking head about it, it's totally fine to just be like, yeah, it's good. Sure.
It's like a water cooler thing, right? There is something knowing that people in the world, millions of people, have just seen the same thing as me. I mean, last week the thing was another movie. It was the wonderful Norwegian movie, The Worst Person in the World. The bubble who's seen that, right? The group who've seen that is very small, I would imagine. But yet, knowing all these Marvel movies, I don't know, fucking go to a party, strike up conversation, just say, hey, did you see Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
Answer is could be likely yes. And there is some fun in partaking in the
and
thing
they'll
that
all
everyone...
say it was weird, it was kind of bad, and then we get to be now we're getting to the point with Marvel movies where it's circling back around and we can be hipsters within a more general audience instead of being hipsters who are like, yeah, have you seen this like niche or Norwegian film that really rocked? And then everybody's like,
it's good, it's great.
I don't know, no. And that's fine. I love that. I love being that person, but it's more visceral for them to vaguely know what you're talking about and just disagree and be a hipster about it. So, Edwin, with that in mind, who's your favorite of the Avengers, America's Mightiest Heroes? Sorry, the world's mightiest heroes, or the universe's mighty. I don't know what scale they're operating at this point.
I liked Cap's story.
Nice.
Right wing Edwin coming out.
We were arguing. It's not, screw you. I was Edwin pilled when Edwin was like, yeah, Winter Soldier is just a good friggin' movie, and I was like, yeah, Edwin's right. Based reviewer. And then
I think his movies are pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think the Marvel movies in general, like I always there's a great video I think we had recommended to me by this video essayist called Patrick Willems that goes into like, you know, what makes I think it's actually like one of his most famous videos, but he goes into like how the Marvel movies are like very good in certain ways, but they never cross into like being like amazing, right? Except for like maybe the first Avengers. And like I think he details like a lot of pretty good points about the series.
One question in the chat I liked: what's your all-time favorite Smash set?
Oh wait, this is touching grass. You can't take over.
Yeah, we're not supposed to talk about Smash.
Go watch your episode where we talk about the greatest sets of all time. I believe
I didn't say greatest. I said your favorite. Oh, it's raining. Do you hear that, Edwin?
Edwin, while he's gone, give your touching grass thing really quick.
Well, I'm moving out of Boston in like a month, so
that's a month. That doesn't count.
Well, I mean, it's the process of moving.
No, you're going to use this for the next 4 weeks. I know. Just.
I mean, I guess I saw Jackie Brown again. That was kind of disappointing. I might be growing out of Tarantino. I was just like thinking I need to revisit like a ton of his 2000s work, but I was like thinking about it, and it's like it's so funny because the things that like used to appeal to me when I was younger about Tarantino was what'd you say?
The feet?
No, not the feet. It's just like funny because I think he does a lot of things that like are really cool for like what you see in a movie, like stylistically and everything. But I think
the white person who says the N-word. That's
yes. So that's one thing that I'm not super crazy about. And the other thing
you are a little crazy about it.
And the other thing is just that like I think like for whatever reason, I was a teenager. I used to think his movies are very deep, right? Like, oh, like this is the point Tarantino is trying to say, like with this scene or whatever, right? And just like thinking about it in hindsight, and like I guess watching a few of his movies recently, there are so many scenes where I'm just like, what was the point of that? Like, what does this add to the story or like the universe, or like what is the point that he's trying to drive in, right? So naturally, I looked up like old interviews of stuff he said to like justify different things in his movie. And there's a quote, there's like so many quotes from him that are just like so ridiculous. Like how is this guy taken? Like I like, as someone who likes his movies, like how is this guy taken as like a super like intellectual like deep director, right?
He's not by, I think, a lot of like even Roger Ebert. If you ever read his reviews on Quentin Tarantino movies, it was always like they gave a film fan a camera and a budget, not like they gave an artist. He's just like a guy that he has read it, emerged as a great filmmaker, right? He's a conglomeration of a bunch of film influences that are put together into a very Reddity films, I guess.
Which
Yeah,
honestly,
it's like breaking my heart noticing this. Right? Like I saw Jackie Brown. I saw Jackie Brown.
I don't think that's a negative. That's not an insult. But the people who talk about his work as art talk about that. Yeah. It's like the not found footage, but it's the combination of highbrow and lowbrow, and it is taking stuff that is just like culturally, wasteland, and taking it and then going, well, if we put it in this connotation, or if I like, Anyway, I haven't seen a movie of his in like a year or two, and when I did, I was like, this is a good movie. I wish that they didn't say these words.
Yeah, like the scene, and so just for reference, I've been watching a bunch of his like 90. Like I recently finished Kill Bill, which I still really love. But like I watched through Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and Jackie Brown. Like I still like the first two movies a lot. But you just like notice these little things, right? Like when I was younger, I loved it. I thought they were like perfect movies. Like, oh my god, like when you think of the greats, like Stanley Kubrick, like Scorsese, Tarantino, it's like, well, like I like Tarantino movies a lot, but like I don't know what he like adds like on.
Do you feel a lot of embarrassment about things that you used to believe in your life?
Only occasionally. It's more just like like sometimes like it's more like with Tarantino in particular. There's like a very specific there are specific things that drew me to his work when I was younger, right? And like I still like his work today because of like other things about it. But like it's just not the vision that I had from when I was like a teenager, right?
Yeah.
What draws me to his movies now is very different. And like the thing,
I don't think there's anything. I think the way Tarantino directs movies is perfect for a teenage boy, and for you to have liked it at that time in your life, there's nothing wrong with that, and it's okay to sometimes be,
Yeah,
I think it's very intoxicating.
I think he shows. I think he's very good at delivering. I think like plot catharsis, right? Like it's like he tells
Spielberg.
He tells like stories of I wouldn't say like Spielberg, but I know
he's no Spielberg.
Oh, you're saying he's no Spielberg? I mean, I have to rewatch a bunch of others, including Lincoln, apparently.
Wait, what did you think he said about Spielberg that you disagreed with then?
Spielberg and Tarantino, very similar styles.
Yeah, I don't think they're similar styles at all. but yeah, I don't know. It's just funny revisiting his movies with like, because it's both a bit more critical of an eye, but like there are things about it like specifically that I appreciate more.
So when you guys talk about touching grass, do you often talk about, instead of that, watching movies?
Lately it's been movies.
As of late,
talk about like music or video. I guess I listened to the new Drake album.
I've literally talked about going on like hikes and stuff. It is not all, instead of this style of media, here's another form of media that I've consumed. I would like you to know.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of like touching grass.
What have you been up to, Jack?
I just got back. It feels like on Monday. I slept at the airport. I guess that's my like version of touching grass, because my flight got canceled at 3 a.m. So I just slept there until 10 a.m. when my next flight was. My alarm was set to wake up at 9:30. Woke up at like maybe 5:30 or 6 and just kind of schlummed around the airport for a while.
What
Tuesday,
do you do in that situation? Do you get anything from? Do you eat anything from the airport?
Yeah, I got a little cereal. They had the spoon behind the counter. And that shit was overpriced. They fucking got me. Let's see. Apart from that, I like to go on walks to go pick stuff up. I got a map. My girlfriend got me a map of like San Francisco, like an old antique map, as like a gift for my birthday. That was a week or two ago or something like that. And yeah, that's been a lot of it. Is I love being home, hanging out with my roommates. It's a lot of fun.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. I honestly played a shit ton of Melee though yesterday. I have not touched grass really in a while. So I got nothing, unless you want to talk about movies.
I think we're coming up on the end of the show. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of avenues for us to talk about movies.
Not the end of the show.
Can I give my review of your show?
Can
I give my review of your show? I think this is a good show. I can see why you don't want me as a guest often. I think that the structure of having topics that you go to is going to be really important as Melee gets really dense coming up. I think it'll be really good to have people that are capable of paying attention and taking a lot of things that are not usually brought together as one data set in your minds. Knowing all the different local players and how their strengths and weaknesses could be interesting and how they intersect with the visiting invaders at all these tournaments. I don't think there's really anybody else that knows this shit. So, and is
rate
able to
yourself
put it
as a
together.
guest out of 10.
As a guest, oh, I'm a 10 out of 10 guest. I just understand why you don't have me on all that often.
I want to have you on for 100 if we make it there. Just a real.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, is that a year? Do 2 episodes a week.
I think we're good. I think we're good.
Do 2 a week. You're no wrong idea of bi-weekly, man. We're going the other way for bi-weekly.
That's crazy. Well,
it's crazy how bi-weekly means both of those things. Before we go, of course, there's a couple things we have to do. One is something we don't do at all, and I'm gonna say, hey, the past episode and this episode, I've been wearing. Never mind. This is gonna come as very entitled. I've been wearing free hoodies that I've been getting. this BTS.
You were obsessed with swag at CEO. You were like, "Can we get some free hoodies? Can we get some free hoodies?"
Jack, that is what I'm going to say. Is that this is CEO Panda Cup was a wonderful experience. I would be remiss if I end this episode without saying that hoodie, the Panda Cup hoodie, black, red trim, very nice hoodie. I would like one. I will continue to work with Panda Cup as long as they will have me, in whatever capacity they want me in. I just want that, and I don't want to have to pay for it. That's all I'm saying is that if Panda Cup wants to join the hallowed halls of this BTS sweatshirt and the Yard sweatshirt, then so be it. I just want to give them the opportunity and say that I am here, I am accepting, and I'm willing to take whatever hoodie they're giving me. That quarter zip, I probably would not be my first choice, but was a very smart look. I would take it. And yeah, if they wanted to give anything to Edwin, I would not forbid them from doing it. I would just hope that they're giving to Edwin in addition to me and not instead of. Now, Jack, thankfully that's out of the way. Where can people find you if they want to follow you?
Follow me at Jackzilla. I see that we have 20 survivors at the end of this Twitch stream. If you are not all following me, I don't know who else is going to follow me. I probably tweet too much or tweet too shittily, but if it's not these 20 people trying to push me to that next hundo, then I don't know who it's going to be.
We're going to get you viral one day.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. You can follow me at Jackzilla. You could also follow, there's PF. What's the one that does the Alaskan shares? Do you know that one, Edwin? I'll look it up. You do your thing. Oh, PFDbot. At PFDbot is my favorite Twitter account besides, at PFDbot on Twitter is great.
Go follow them. Go follow Jackzilla. And you can also go follow us, twitter.com/MeleeStatsPod. That's where we'll be posting daily results, links to everything on MeleeStats.co. It's going to be a website. You can find stuff such as, what's it called? When's Melee? And Monday Morning Mart. If you want to watch these episodes live, you can do so at twitch.tv/MeleeStats. They're going to go on YouTube over at Melee Stats Archive. While you're over on YouTube, you can go to find our Melee Stats YouTube channel. That's going to be our long-form content. And if you just love everything we do and you want to support us, patreon.com/MeleeStats. Not the most beautiful plug that I've done, but not the worst. Here we are at the end of 50 episodes. I'm so glad that we made it. I honestly not sure if I knew I was going to make it to 50, and the fact that I'm still so full of steam and willing to do it, it makes me happy, and I want to say that that's in part to wonderful guests like yourself, Jack, my great co-host, Edwin Budding, and the wonderful people who watch. We will be back next week. I will be on vacation. So, if it ends at 51 episodes, I'll be pretty pissed. But, Jack, play us out.
I don't know anything else. All right, we're good.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week. Peace.
See you guys.